Okay, so yeah, I'm Joel Vogel. I was actually born and raised here in St. Cloud, grew up on 32nd Avenue over there, went to St. Anthony's Grade School, Cathedral High School, to St. Cloud Technical College, born and lived here the whole time. My wife and I live in St. Joe, 2 children. We got a daughter who lives in Texas. She's got 6 kids. Her and her husband are raising down there. My son was supposed to be here tonight and doing this training, and I don't know why, but he got sick. So he said, Dad, can you bail me out and help me out with the training? He's retired from the military as an air rescue swimmer. He does a better job than I do on the training, some people say. So hope we get done. But earlier on, I was asked, how did I get started in this? And basically, I'll give you the brief story because I think it's important. 21 years ago, I was at home on Mother's Day, May 9th, and I was digging some patio box in the backyard out in St. Joe. My daughter happened to be home from college to visit her mother since it was May 9th on Mother's Day, and I was smoking a cigar, and all of a sudden I had this burning sensation in my chest, and I thought, you knucklehead, did you inhale that cigar? Because you only smoke them because you like the aroma and things like that. So I went and I put it out. I said to my daughter, let's quit doing these patio blocks, let's go around. So we walked around the back garage and next to our neighbors, and there's a storm brewing in, and we went by. They said, hey, come on, I'll have a drink. It's Mother's Day. They said, no, thanks. We're going to watch the storm blow in. So we went around and things, and I got in the back garage, and they had those white stacking chairs, So I got one down for me, one down for my wife, one down for the dog. And my wife comes out and she looks at me and she says, are you okay? And I go, I don't feel so good. She says, are you having a heart attack? And I said, well, what are the symptoms? She says, is your left arm numb? I said, it's 100% numb, my fingertips are tingling. She says, are you having a hard time breathing? I says, it feels like somebody's sitting on my chest and things. And then she said what all wives will say to a husband at that point in time. She said, and I quote, are you going to be a jerk or are you going to let me take you to the hospital? I said, I'm not going to be a jerk. You can take me to the hospital. There's something definitely wrong. She went and said to my daughter, hey, I'm taking Dad to the hospital. I think he's having a heart attack. She came running downstairs. Now, this is before cell phones. She had a cordless phone. She dials 911 and says, for the ambulance and things. And my wife says, what are you doing that for? Now the neighbors are going to know something's going on. So she says, go over and tell them that an ambulance has come, because they're in their 70s, okay, and things that want to shake them up. So she went running over there. They came running back over. They got a baby aspirin. So they get me down. So I'm sitting down at this point in time. I'm in a chair. I'm soaking wet. I'm having a hard time breathing. They get a baby aspirin in me. And in comes the St. Joe Police Department. He comes walking up to me, and he says, I got some oxygen here, we can put that on you, and things. And then a few minutes later, here comes the St. Joe Rescue Squad. So this is about maybe 10 minutes later from when the first call went out. So Andy Losel comes walking up to me, and Andy says, looks at me, and Andy's my son's age, and I go, Andy, are you qualified to work on me? And he says, he ain't dead yet, he's still got a sense of humor, So they were working on me, and then the male ambulance comes, and then they were working on me, and we got to go, and they finally said, we're going to load him in the ambulance, and we're going to take him to the hospital. Well, they load me in the ambulance, and we're driving from St. Joe, the back road there where you go by Borgard Concrete and things like that, and I looked behind me, and the rain had come. There was a rainbow. So I'm sitting there in the ambulance, I'm looking out the window, and I'm seeing, there's a beautiful rainbow, and I look behind me, and I can see my wife and daughter in the car coming behind the ambulance. And I started to go out, and I looked at the guy who was working with me, and I said, not a bad day to die. And he grabs me, and he shakes me, and he said, damn it, he said, don't you go out on me. I'm going to tell you right now, it's the most peaceful feeling I ever had in my life. I knew that the hand of God was on me, and everything was in slow motion from that time. 3 times on the way to the hospital, they gave me liquid nitrogen underneath my tongue and got me to the St. Cloud Hospital. When you get to the hospital, things happen fast. So they take you, and they bring you in, clothes come off, body hairs get shaved, boom, they get ready to set, going down the elevator at the hospital, from the emergency room, we go down to where they do it. And as I'm going down the elevator, I went out. And if you go out and you have a heart attack, that's the place to do it, because instantly I'm inside. Long story short, I had the widowmaker. I was 100% block in the main artery, and they saved my life. But then I went back next week because they found out I was also blocked 90, 90, 80, 80, and 70. I ended up with 6 stents in my heart, and I had to readjust what was going on. So how I got involved with all this was I then adjusted my life, and I quit all the boards of directors that I was on because I thought that was important stuff I needed to be doing because nobody else could do it. Quit my job, took something a little less stressful, and I started to raise money to put AEDs out in the community, worked with Centricare, gave them money for AEDs that then they would put out in the community just to have. I'm trying to think, I think we put out like 20 some of those AEDs that way, which was really good. But a friend of mine, Rich Finnis, came to me and he said, Joel, why are you doing this? Why are you just putting them outside where nobody can get them if they're locked up, like here? And I said, well, it's because somebody will steal them, they'll freeze in the winter, or some young kid's going to shock somebody and kill them, to get rid of them. Well, we come to find out that there was a place in Ohio, so what we ended up doing is we started a nonprofit, and we started putting out AEDs that look like this. You've probably seen them around town. We have a couple at Lake George, we got Whitney Senior Center, we got them around. As a matter of fact, if you want to know where AEDs are in the area, we actually, as a nonprofit, hired a girl from St. Ben's, and she went around, we worked with Sheriff Soika and Centricare, and we found 482 AEDs in Stearns County. Wow. For free. Geocom mapped them out. Okay, then we sent the girl out and things, and she went out and looked and made sure that the batteries and pads were good and all that. We'll come to find out 30% of them, the batteries were bad or the pads were bad, so we brought them all up to speed. Okay, and as long as we're on that subject, as I go along, this is your AED out of the cabinet. You want to know when your batteries and pads expired, all you have to do is press this middle button here, and it comes up, says Defib Tech. It'll say battery status expires in June of 2029. Pad expires of April of 2027. Which button do you push? Center one. Yeah, very good. So,
what makes the pad wear out if you never use it?
Stickiness. Oh. It'll lose that part. That's a good question. Okay, and then if you use them, you can only use them once, and then you got to get them replaced. So that's what's done there. There's 2 apps that I'm going to ask you to put on your phone, and things to consider. The first one is called Pulse Point. If you go to your apps, I'm going to show you what this does here. There's 2 Pulse Point. One's an orange app. When I press that quick, the little blue dot comes up, and it shows me where I am at. See the dot? Yep. Okay, it says no AEDs found. That's because we haven't registered years here yet with Pulse Point, so we got to get that so then it'll say the side. But as I squeeze this down and I start taking this in and bringing it in, look at all the orange spots that showed up. Now I see 226 AEDs in St. Cloud. And when you touch that button, it'll actually show you a picture of the AED and where it's located. So I'm going to encourage everyone to get this app because it works anywhere in the United States. When I go down and I see my daughter down in Dallas, I go down and say, where's the closest AED? Geez, Dad, I don't know. Boom, boom. Golf course right down the road. Okay, anything happens to me, guys go, send one of the kids over there. Okay, the fastest one. But then you can actually take and you can do it. So that Pulse Point app is a great app. The funny part about this is I got 3 bills before the state legislature right now, and then for $1 million a year, this whole state could have this app working themselves. Yes?
Okay, I'm an Apple. How do you do an Android search for it?
I don't know.
Well, you don't either. Okay.
But worst case scenario, write down that app, okay, called Pulse Point, all right? Everybody with me on that?
Yeah.
And as long as we're on apps, what's the goal here tonight?
Learn how to save a life.
Learn how to use the AED if you have to on the wall back there, correct? That's why we're here. Okay, no one here is going to get certified from the Red Cross tonight. We're going to show you how to put the app on, how to do some basic CPR. That's the goal. Okay, there's another app. I'm just going to hesitate. Mark, you got yours downloaded? How are we doing?
It's downloaded. I haven't
Is that a pulse point AED?
There's two of them. Pulse point AED. There's an orange one. Pulse point AED would be the one, and then you're going to be able to. So that works anywhere that you can. There's another app. It's a red one called CPR Rescue Me. The CPR Rescue Me app is my favorite app because when I touch the CPR Rescue Me app, it says, is the person in front of you unconscious? Are they choking? Or have they drowned? Well, as a grandparent, everybody's worried about their grandkid probably choking or something. You go to the lake, are they going to drown? What do? We probably learned this when we were in grade school or high school or whatever they may be, or things like that. But when it's an emergency situation, you forget, correct? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the person is unconscious, and I'm going to press that button, and I'm going to hit continue. Okay? Watch what happens.
Try to wake them up. Did they wake up?
Okay? Try to wake them up. You want to shake them, and we're going to be doing that with the Annies here in a minute. I'm going to say no, they did not.
Check if they're breathing. Lift the chin.
No.
Pull the jaw forward, then listen and feel for air movement. Are they breathing?
No, they're not breathing, so I hit no.
This person needs CPR. Tell someone to call 911. Tell someone to find Narcan, an opioid overdose antidote. Tell someone to find an AED, a heart restart. Do not skip these steps. Once done, follow CPR instructions.
So someone runs and gets the AED, somebody else comes over, what do we got to do? What do we got to do? And you press this app, it's slowly and calmly talking you through that, okay? It says, now I'm going to push CPR instructions. First of all, how many people here know how to do CPR? Raise your hand. Got a couple of them? Okay, it's been a while, refresher, okay, yep, that's kind of why we're here. I push, do you give the breast today or do you not give the breast?
Give the what?
The breast. When I would learn CPR, it was like cribbage. You had to give 15 compressions, and then 15 compressions, and do it 30 times, like 15, 2, 15, 30 back, 30 back, 2 breaths of air, game cribbage. And that's how you knew when to do it. Well, today they've gone to hands-only CPR because of AIDS, and people they wouldn't put their mouth on somebody else's mouth. So we're going to teach you how to do hands-only. It says, okay, so now if I press CPR instructions
Kneel next
next.
to the person. Overlap your hands in the middle of their chest. Push down with your full body weight 30 times in the next 20 seconds. A timer will start. Try to wake them up. Did they wake up?
It's showing me a video of what, yeah, exactly. It's going. And this is going to beep for 30 seconds, and then it's going to tell you to give 2 breaths of fresh air. If you're watching, it'll just keep going and going and going, and it'll talk you through it the whole time. Okay? Well, in the meantime, you send somebody to get what? AED. Okay? And it also sends somebody for Narcan, okay? Which unfortunately has become a big problem. And things. By the way, if anybody can help me out with Stearns County, they got a grant from a settlement for opioid addiction for Stearns County. They get $500,000 a year for the next 9 years. They got $18 million that they have to spend on the opioid thing. And what we've done is we've approached the people that are on that committee and said, put these outside, put the opioid inside the cabinets so they're all available. Help us get that in the area. And by the way, of the 300 that we got out, we'll put the opioid in there for free. So we're trying to work with those folks and let them know, because in every county, right now in Douglas County, they ordered 3 units from us in Alexandria, and we're putting that up. I got a phone call the other day from Brainerd, and we're working with them as well. So for the next 18 years, that's going to be a cash. They got to spend it, and this is a good thing to spend it on. But okay, so now before you guys all came in here, I've been talking for about 10 minutes. Okay. Now you all got an app, so you could go home, and not only could you do CPR if you had to, right? You could also find someone if they're choking, and you could also find somebody if, what was the other one?
Breathing, not breathing.
That's the CPR, choking, and what does it say when the first is the person unconscious?
Drowning.
Drowning. So tell you what to do for drowning as well, which is real simple. Thank you. Thank her. Thank you for thanking him. Okay. So this is your AED that's in the cabinet over there. It has a red bag. Everybody says, well, what's in the red bag? Well, instead of ripping that one all apart, I got this one. When you take that over, the first thing you're going to find is the scissors. What's the scissors for? Cutting clothes. Okay. Here's a biohazardous waste bag. What's that for? You're probably going to puke. They might puke. Okay. That's the other reason why they got away from doing the breaths of air, is because it usually ends up with 2 puddles. Okay. There is inside here a razor. What's the razor for?
Shave the chest.
Shave the chest, yes. As a matter of fact, I've done that with mine since I had my heart attack, and I got 2 tattoos that say place pad here, place pad there. You gotta have a little humor in your presentation, right?
And that's just for better contact.
It won't work if you don't have good contact and things, so you gotta shave it for the contact. Goggles if you want it, gloves if you want it, a towel if you want it. So that's kind of what's in the bag. I tell you the 2 things you are gonna use, for sure you might use the scissors, you may use the razor, okay? But that's what's inside the bag. It used to be that it also included a breathing apparatus that you'd throw over the mouth, but they found out that nobody was using that, okay?
If you had one available, is it good to give them that baby
Sure.
baby aspirin?
They gotta have that baby aspirin when they're alive,
Conscious.
Oh,
when they're conscious, because there's no way they'd be able to take that baby aspirin on. And things. No, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. My brother-in-law, he actually goes in the winter to Arizona. And he, for the last 5 years, he's been hearing me talk about this at all my, wherever I go, every family function and things, because this is what I do now, since I'm retired and things, and trying to get these all out. Well, he was down in Arizona, and they got to the spot, and he drives one of those Kenny Rogers mobiles, great big buses, So him and his significant got there, and the first thing they did is they located where the AEDs were in this campground area that had room for 300 units, okay? All the pickleball courts and stuff like that. Well, he found where they were. A couple days later, he was over playing pickleball, and the person at the right next to him went down.
Wow.
People ran over there to help. One person says he's having a diabetic seizure. Put some sugar in his mouth. Another person comes over. He's a retired fireman. Says, nope, no sugar. Get that stuff out of there. He's having sudden cardiac arrest. He started doing CPR. My brother-in-law had ran out and got the AED. Came back, put on him. They shocked him 6 times and saved his life. But they knew what to do. And that's kind of what we want to do now. So the way we're set up here today is we're set up where I have got a demo unit, a demo AED that we're going to be able to take apart without affecting yours at all. All right? We got 2 groups of people here and things. So kind of like I have an AED set up over there, and I have an AED set up over on that side. All you have to do when you grab the AED is push the green start button. And when you do that, the AED will talk to you. It'll tell you exactly what to do. So what we're going to do here is I'll give you an idea. When I turn this on, it's got a video on the front.
Training mode. Call for help. Follow instructions to apply pads. Remove clothing from patient's chest. Locate pads package in back of AED. Tear open pads package. Peel pads from blue liner.
What you're going to do, okay?
Apply pads to patient's bare chest as shown.
Okay, and then it'll do...
Training mode.
Then after you
Call
apply it...
for help. Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. Stand clear. Shock advised. Charging. Press flashing shock button. Shock 1 delivered. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR now. Give compressions. Powering off.
That's how simple it is, folks.
Nice.
The technologies today is very easy. I'm going to tell you some statistics. I have a male mannequin there, and I got a female mannequin over there. and things. And I started doing this once I heard the statistics. I actually ordered the component that actually shows the breasts on the mannequin. If a man goes down in this church, he's got an 80% chance that someone's going to go help assist him. If a woman goes down, they only got a 40%. Why do you suppose that is?
Guys are afraid of touching.
Guys are afraid of touching her, be called a pervert or whatever it might be, because they're going to go over there and they say she's having it hard, and they're going to be taking her. What are you doing taking her shirt off here in church? Oh my God, that's sacrilegious. No, you're going to save her life. You go in the back of church. Get out of here. You know, boom, 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 and get going on it. So when I do the demo, I show the people both ways, so you get that opportunity. So what we're going to do here is does anybody else here feel comfortable with CPR, that they could help me on one of the things to do it, or not?
I will.
You will? Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to the side. So we're going to play the scenario out that we come on the patient, okay? And I'll do it once so you guys get a chance to see it. But then I want as many as possible to do that. We're going to get it to the point where we're even going to put on the pads. We're going to follow that. Now, I'm going to throw some curveballs at you because I can do that here. So, who likes me so far? Yeah, that's a good answer. All right, so let's stand up. And let's go. Just turn around over here. So I'll grab a bar. So I have the female one over there, and I have the male one here. Okay. So when someone goes down, you want to get them on the floor. That's one of the main things that you want have done. You can't have them up or down and things. And then you're going to walk up to them and you're going to do what does the app say that you just put on your phone?
Are you okay?
Thank you. Hey, you okay? You okay? You all right? The mouth's open. You can tilt your head back and then listen to see if you can even hear it breath. You can take the pulse if you feel comfortable doing that. You're going to know whether or not they're okay or not. Okay? Then what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to what? Start CPR, right? So basically say, hey, okay, and I'm supposed to tell a couple people to do a couple things. What am I supposed to say?
Call 911.
Yeah, you call 911. Go get the AED. Narcan if you got it. If you don't have it, that's fine. And then you start CPR. And then you can start. You can say, does anybody else here know how to do CPR and can help me? And then somebody else might come and help you. You take your hand, right where the nipples are in between, you take this back here, and you start pushing down. Okay? Now, I'm going to cheat here a little bit, because eventually we're going to have to take the shirt off. My sister and I came up with this idea, because I was doing this all the time. She says, you reckon church, why don't we put Velcro on? Some German ingenuity here instead of Velcro. Oops. Can't take that one.
How you doing, Dad?
Okay, now when you're giving it correctly, what's going to happen is there's lights going to flash. Here, we got these so that you can see how much weight you put on. So when I start going down, see the two green lights? Now I've done this before, obviously, right? Somebody else comes in, they're going, that's too what? Oh, slow down, slow down.
Oh.
Not fast enough.
And more gentle if it's a child.
If it's a child, more gentle, exactly. You might even get by with one instead of two. And then to put the pads on the child, you put one pad on the little heart and the other one on the back. Unless there's child pads. Okay? But does everybody got an idea how to do that then? Where you'd start that? Okay? So, as long as we got a group here, we'll just kind of do that. You can start. Do I have a volunteer who wants to kind of do that scenario? And then you can point to whoever you want. And what they're going to do is they're going to come over here, get the AED, and bring it back to you, and we're going to go from there. Ready? What's your first name?
Chris.
Chris? Okay. Okay. You come on the scene. Everybody's here standing around. Do exactly what you're supposed to do.
Are you okay?
Okay, what is he supposed to do first?
Call out.
Call 911. Get the AED.
Okay.
Start compressions. Well, let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, put that one in the back. You can rip that whole shirt off if you want to. Come off, Hey, very good, very good rhythm. Now, he shows up with the AED and you say, I got the AED, right? Yep. Okay, and I'm here helping you guys too. Okay, keep giving compression. Let's go ahead. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to do what? Press.
Middle button.
Okay, your first name is?
Matt.
Don't change your name on me, Matt. Okay, so, okay.
Training
Training
mode.
mode, okay.
Call for help.
Okay, so we're doing that already.
Follow instructions to apply pads. Remove clothing from patient's chest.
Okay, I'll remove the clothing while you keep doing CPR.
Locate pads package in back of AED.
Take that out, yep.
Tear open pads package.
It's already open, so just pull these out.
Peel pads from blue liner.
Now in the liner, it shows you where you're supposed to put it.
Apply pads
Okay, Chris,
to
hang on, I got
patient's
the pads.
bare chest.
Okay, what do I do? Where's this one go?
One's gonna go here.
Okay, just put that one there.
Remove clothing
The other
from
one's gonna go
patient's
right here.
chest.
Okay, place that one there. Okay,
Locate pads package in back of AED.
okay.
Training mode.
Now we got those hooked up.
Call for help.
It's gonna go into
Analyze
this
heart
mode.
rhythm. Do not touch the patient.
Everybody stand clear.
Stand clear. Shock advised. Charging. Press flashing shock button. Shock 1 delivered. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR now. Give compressions.
Go with the rhythm if you could. Okay, you getting tired, Chris? You wanna switch?
I'm doing okay so far, but we can switch.
You wanna try it?
Sure.
Go get down and switch with them.
Continue
Get
for
on the other
1
side so
minute,
you don't. You know,
45 seconds.
yeah, if you wanna stop, you can come on the other side, okay? Keep,
Yes.
yep, hand in there.
Keep your elbows
Continue.
straight.
Straight.
There you go.
Continue
Need
for
more
1
weight?
minute, 30 seconds.
Always worry about my strength, you know.
I was just gonna say one
You're
hand,
not,
Matt.
You know, don't worry about your strength.
Continue.
You can see those lights, so you got a good idea how that's
Continue
doing,
for
right?
1
Yep.
minute, 15 seconds.
And I gotta have both green lights going?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, bad CPR is better than no CPR. You're not gonna have green lights on the body, but you should be thinking, go with the beats as you're going. Beat, 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 beat,
Continue.
beat, 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 beat. And if you're near, help them with that.
For
Help them do that. Beat, 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 beat. And you say, okay, let's switch back. Now you just switch again. Let's switch, go ahead.
Continue.
Beat, beat,
Beat,
Continue for 30 seconds.
beat, 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 beat.
a little faster.
When you do this, you'll be breaking ribs, right?
Well, you could break ribs, so a lot of times it's cartilage, yep.
Those will heal.
They're not gonna feel it, then. Don't worry about that.
Ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Powering off.
Okay, you tired? Yeah, you get real tired when it's an individual and things doing that, all right. So,
What does Narcan do? Is that a shot, you have a shot to the heart?
no, Narcan is if you have a drug overdose. Here's the best explanation I've ever heard of that. Someone, and it's dear to my heart because I had a nephew die of a drug overdose, and they didn't have an AED nearby, and so I get this. He was 22 years old. Okay, so they do and they have a big Narcan drug problem with fentanyl. And they just don't believe me. Those little tablets, you know how much they sell for on the street? Any idea? $7. Well, $7. People, I can take one of these for $7, or I can drink a case of beer for 14, 15 bucks. I think I'll take up pills. That's the mindset. Okay. So so here's what happens. Picture a panel box, an electrical box on a gymnasium floor, and you take a drug, you know, a Narcan or something like that. What happens? Those light switches all go off in their head. So they're gone. You give them the Narcan, and the light switches start coming back on. Now, that will probably get them going and keep them so that they're still breathing. but you're probably gonna have to give 2 shots of it up in the nasal, and then if they go out, then what are you gonna need to do?
CPR.
And get an AED to shock them and bring them back, okay? All right, so, who's next? Do I get to pick on somebody or what? Here we go. You know what I'm gonna do, because here's what I'm gonna do with you. I'm gonna have you go over and you're gonna get the gal. Okay? No, we just came in here. You happen to walk in this room and you found one of the ladies who happened to be down, okay? And you're gonna do the same thing that he did. You're gonna do the first 3, where whoever you pick out, they gotta do what you're basically you tell them to do, okay?
I got no money.
Well, you can start. Go on.
You don't know much.
Go ahead, Matt, right?
What's your name?
No, Chris. Chris, that's Matt.
Hillman.
I forget the first name.
Tom.
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, terrific, okay.
There you go, Mighty Dog Manfred. I see you remember.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go.
I know.
All the way down.
Hey, you okay? You okay? Hey, you okay? Would you get the AED? Call 911, please.
Right here.
Okay. Oh,
Kind
right
of
where that
between
little
the
mark.
nipples,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Keep your elbows straight.
How's his legs doing?
They're good.
You got a good rhythm going?
Yeah.
Is anybody else here know how to do CPR that can help him?
I'll help him.
Okay. Just get down next to him. Get down on his knees. Okay.
Hey, got a good beat going here.
It goes on. Very good.
Ready?
Can I push the button now?
Yeah, I would if I were you.
Well,
I know. I'm picking on you.
Training mode. Call for help.
1, 2.
help!
Instructions to apply pads.
Call 911, Sue.
Remove clothing from patient's chest.
Done.
Locate pads package in back of AED. Tear open pads package.
Where's the one you're ready?
Correct.
Peel pads from blue liner. Apply pads to patient's bare chest as shown. Remove clothing from patient's chest.
This one goes here.
Locate pads package in back of AED. Tear open pads package. Peel pads from blue liner.
Okay, did that just...
Did I do it too soon?
No, you're good.
Apply pads to patient's bare chest as shown.
He's
I
just
think you
keep
might be
going.
going a little fast,
The
Chris.
top button, that's
Well, the lights
Yeah.
are on, right?
Clothing from patient's chest. Training mode.
Okay, no, it's...
Call for help. Poor pad contact to patient.
Poor
Press
pad.
pads
It's because
firmly.
it's not.
Poor pad contact, huh?
Poor pad contact to patient.
Wow.
Press pads firmly.
You guys can do that all
Poor
night.
pad contact
I'm doing
to
that on you,
patient.
I'm sorry.
Press
That,
pads
Oh, you're doing that?
yes, because it could happen.
Excuse me, Chris, that's okay.
Better do we get it on?
Do not touch the patient.
Okay, clear.
Stand clear. Shock advised. Charging. Press flashing shock button. Press shock 1 delivered. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR now. Give compressions.
This is a lot more
Tom, you're good at that.
upscale and technologically advanced than the other one.
It's nice that it gives you instructions because
Continue. Continue for 1 minute, 45 seconds.
You're pretty good with the beeping.
I got the beat.
Continue.
Whoops, a little too fast. There you go.
Continue for 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Need a break?
Yeah, a little too fast, Tom.
Continue. Continue for 1 minute, 15 seconds. Continue.
He's only got one green light. Why is that?
Continue.
Well,
for
it just
1
gets,
minute.
it's just off.
Just the beat?
Power
Beat,
off.
beat.
No, the
There's a
amount of
couple questions
pressure,
that came up
the
that were
position.
very good. She asked me a
I
couple.
thought if it was not, the pressure was
Sue
not
says,
enough. Or,
do you have to take the shirt off if you're not going to hit the AED up? No. Just start by doing CPR so you can leave the shirt on. Okay, that's number one.
Ah.
The other thing, she said that CPR aid, yeah, she said that beeping really helps. Does the beeping really help?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so, well, you come on the scene and someone's doing CPR and there's no AED on site, what would you do with your app? You'd fire that app up and you bring it next to them and you turn them and you go beep, beep,
Right,
beep,
right.
beep. I heard you go 1, 2, 3, which is okay. He was okay with your 1, 2, 3. It was 1, 2, or push, whatever you want to do to help. That's the main thing. I did throw a curveball at you with the trainer that showed you that hey, the patch went.
Yep.
Oh, you did that. I thought we
Yeah.
just didn't do it.
Yeah, he did that.
Don't see over there because there's many curves.
Right.
That's why you don't know if because that wire, I didn't know if that wire was interfering.
Right. The other thing is, I will tell you this. This is true because I didn't know the answer to this. So I said to my son came home from the military a number of years ago on leave, and he says, "Dad, how's it going with the AED business?" I said, "Pretty good, except I got one big problem." He says, "What's that?" He says, "Your mom don't know how to do CPR."
Mhm.
And it ain't gonna be any good if she doesn't know how to hook that AED up that I have on the outside of my house, because I'm gonna be the guy lying there.
Right.
He says, "I got this." So we got a couple of grandkids together there. They said, "Okay, we're gonna do this." We got out the Annies and things like that, and we role played it, so they all knew what to do. She was 12 at the time. She's 18 now. Okay, so this is 6 years ago. She comes over, and they're out with the Annies, and my son's doing exactly what you guys were doing with Dave. And she's peeling the pads off. She's doing that, but she takes this pad here, and she puts this one on top here,
Oh.
and this one on the bottom there.
Hmm.
And my son stops and says, "What, are you trying to kill Grandpa?" and I said, "Geez, I don't know the answer to that." So Mike Papelli, who's the national sales manager for DefibTech, has become a friend of mine because he also had sudden cardiac arrest and went down and was saved by an AED and things. He said, "Joel, here's what's going to happen. All it's going to do is it's going to read it for the doctors upside down and backwards, because on all the AEDs now, there's a SIM card that's inside here that you pull out and you go to, or they can plug it in and you go to the hospital when the AED goes with them, and the doctor can plug it in and see
Wow.
what is going on with your heart."
Wow.
So I said, "Well, that's fantastic."
Yeah.
And things. I said, "Well, so this was 6 years ago." So I said, "Well, when the heck would they ever use that?" 1 year ago, I'm at home and I get a call from my son. "Dad, what? I'm down in Minneapolis. Bernadette's at the hospital and think they took her up with the ambulance. She had a heart attack or something. Going, I can go up to the hospital. I'll be there in 40 minutes. I said, "Yeah." So I go up to the St. Cloud Hospital, walk into the room, and there's Bernadette, my future daughter-in-law. She's sitting there and she's sitting up. And I said, "What happened to you?" She says, "Well, I was at CVS Pharmacy because they just moved from California here. She didn't have a main doctor. She went in to get some because she had pink eye. Some little neighbor kid or something gave her pink eye. So they put they started taking her blood pressure, right? Just way all over the place. They said, "Sit down. Your beats are 500 beats a minute."
Whoa.
He said, your heart's about ready to blow up. Just sit down in that chair."
That's
The
not gonna
male
calm me
ambulance
down.
came over, put the AED on her. And this is the first time I even called the cardiologist at St. Cloud Hospital. I know most of those guys, and said they shocked her when she was alive. and things. They said, well, they have a little more advanced AED than they were able to do that. They said they gave her that medicine where you forget, a little bit before, but she remembered a lot of it. So she's got the marks like this. Well, the doctor comes into the room, and it was a female cardiologist or in the emergency room, and she says, geez, I sure as heck wish I knew what the heck was going on with that heart before they shocked her. And I said, well, why don't you grab the AED and plug it in the lung, take the SIM card out and read it, and you'll be able to see that on there. And she goes, I forgot about that. She comes back, she's got that strip of paper that says everything that needs to be done. And then she looks at me and says, how did you know that? So that stuff could happen. So, those are true stories that have happened to just me. And there's been several times where I've been on scenes and things like that and helped out. But tonight, what we want to do is we got two things set up. We got one here and one there. Here's what I want to do. Because hooking this up is pretty easy to do, right? Anybody think they'd have a problem just opening up the AED and putting it on backwards?
It has a diagram on it.
It's got a diagram. And on my chest, it's got tattoos, remember? So that's all you'd have to do. But what I want everybody to do is actually, for a period, I'd like you to do the CPR, the compressions, if you feel comfortable getting down on your knees, because that's the main thing until this comes, okay? Somebody said to me, how many shocks can you give him? Well, a guy in East Side St. Cloud, we gave him 7 shocks before he came back.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And so it's going to keep shocking. And then
So
someone
does
says, well, how? Yes.
Does it tell you then when to do another?
Each time it'll tell you when to, you keep doing CPR, and then it'll go for 2 minutes, and then it'll say analyzing heart rhythm, and then it'll tell you. And things.
So it is
Nice,
analyzing the heart
nice.
rate. Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah,
Okay.
the whole time it's analyzing that.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
When this is in the storage area, the container, is it constantly being charged or just charged and then
That battery's good till, what did I say,
Oh.
2029?
29, yeah.
it does not need to be
Right.
recharged?
Yep, present 2027.
Charges
as it sits there.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. Does it charge as it sits there?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Does it charge as it sits?
No,
in
it's
the-
just holds, it's kind of like a car battery. After 4 years, they kind of like, they go,
Oh.
but it keeps starting.
So you
to
don't need we don't need electricity to that to keep it going?
Nope.
Next question. Okay, so it's not going to be locked up, though, right?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Where is it? In the
It's over
center?
there.
Well, there,
In the
take a
foyer.
left. There's
Before
a
you-
red button on the box you gotta push just to open it.
Oh, that's it.
So where is it in the foyer?
You'll see it.
On the way out, lets everybody look, so you know.
Yep.
But it's
So if you
on that
come
far
up to
wall
someone
before
and
you go
they're
into the
unconscious,
sanctuary.
But they have a heartbeat, then you wouldn't do any of that, right?
Well, if you come up to somebody that's laying down there and you got a heartbeat or nothing, no, you just hang there with them because
Call
it could be a
911.
very
So
faint
you
heartbeat,
wouldn't
you don't do
any-
anything.
yeah.
I was at the Civic Center for the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast one year before it started. The guy in the microphone grabbed and said, is there a doctor in the house? Was there a doctor in the house? Were you there?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm sitting there, and a police officer from St. Cloud who told me, we don't need these in St. Cloud. We got this covered. All the cops got it in the things. He's sitting at the table next to me. He doesn't hear the page, and he stays sitting there.
Oh.
I hear it. I get up. I run on the hallway. I grab the AED that's at the Civic Center. I run around to the back side, and then the doctor's down there, and I says, I got the AED. He says, great. He grabs it from me. He fills those pads up, puts it on him, and things like that. He's sitting there, and he says, you got a really faint beat. He says, we don't need to shock you, and things like that. We had another group of guys praying over here in the corner, and his wife was over there with him and things. About 10 minutes later, here comes the officer, who's now retired, that guy, from the police department. He says, you guys need any help? No, you weren't any help. You didn't hear what was going on. The same guy told me we didn't need this here, and you got a bunch of volunteers. The reality is that someone from a perfect stranger is probably going to save your life, more so than anybody else. Okay.
So you wouldn't even do compressions? then?
Not if they're breathing. If they're breathing, they're good.
Well, it also says analyzing rhythm, and then it kind of tells you
Yeah,
what
you
to
could
do.
put that on there and it'll analyze it and it'll tell you no shock advised. Well,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
no shock.
Oh, if you put it on it, we'll
And
tell you.
no compressions?
Wow.
Great.
Did you say you don't do the mouth anymore?
We don't teach that or anything because I know a guy personally that had a guy go down in his business downtown St. Cloud, and he had the officer on the phone telling him to do this, and he says, okay, now what you need is give him He says, I gotta give him 2 breaths. Just a second, he says, I'm gonna go get some sanitation out of the bathroom. And then he said, don't give him the breaths, just keep the pressure. You know? So that's why they don't do that anymore. That's a great question. Okay, but keep in mind, we come in, we got the AED ain't here when the person's on the ground. So what's the first thing you're gonna do? You're gonna send somebody to go get it, and you're gonna pull up that app if you got it, and it'll help you with the beep, 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 until they show up with an AED that they can put on, that after you shock them or whatever, analyzes, that will give you the beep, 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 beep. They ain't gonna do that.
But first you're gonna see if they're, you okay, everything's okay, you're breathing,
Mhm.
heartbeat.